Hey everyone, this is Rachel from Nonessential Media, and you're listening to the Lifecast podcast. Just as a reminder, this is a teen-rated podcast, so if you are under the age of 13, do not listen. If you're over 13, stay tuned and enjoy!
Welcome back, everyone, to the Lifecast podcast. My name is Isaac, and with me today is...
Rachel!
And today we are going to challenge each other to stay on topic for once.
Yeah, I don't know how well this is going to work. I just ate hot Cheetos, so my mouth feels very, moist. You know, like, all your, like, you just feel like it's extra saliva-y. Like your glands have Isaac's face. It's just like, it's nasty. And so I feel like when I record, you guys can hear my, like...
Oh! We already had an ASMR podcast. We don't need another episode of Lifecast.
Anyway, so yes, we're going to be doing a challenge. The challenge is to give us a topic that we have to stay on track with, and we cannot go off of that topic. But to be fair, and to make this a little easier for each of us, we've decided to choose a broad topic that we could really go into detail about as little or as much detail as we want, and that topic is...
Neopets.
Neopets?
For you.
Oh, we're choosing a topic for each other?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought we had the same topic. Well, now I have to think of a topic for you. You said Neopets, is this supposed to be fair? Like, am I supposed to choose one that's going to be hard or easy for you?
Go easy on me.
Okay, so since you said Neopets, I'm going to say AQW.
Okay.
AQW. I'm so used to saying AQW, people are probably like, what's AQW?
Adventure Quest Worlds for people, for everyone out there.
These are the games we grew up playing the most of, I would say, so this won't be too hard for us.
/ still play.
Wait, how are we supposed to have a conversation when we have two different topics to talk about? Do we each take turns talking about it?
Yeah.
Alright, you're gonna go first.
Okay, Adventure Quest Worlds. I have been playing it since I was, I want to say like 10 or 11.
And he just turned 21, just to put that into perspective for you.
That's 10 years. Maybe I think I had just turned 10.
For some reason, I thought you were younger.
Yeah, I thought I was too, but the game's only been out for like 11. It's been out for 11 years, so maybe I was younger. But this was before they had that limit that was like, you have to be 13 or older to play it. It's like bending the rules.
Yeah, you're like making emails so that your parents, you don't have to get parents' approval.
Hacker. So yeah, I started playing that when I was super young. Still play it here and there, current day. It's just a really good game. Like, if you're just looking for something to pass time and, like, level up and stuff.
So for people that don't know what it is and kind of are interested, what would you compare it to, though? Like, what's another game that a lot of people know that you could at least take something from it to compare to?
I don't think there's really anything to compare it to. I would say Maple Story, but I feel like Maple Story's a little bit more...
It's a grindy game, though.
Yeah, but Maple Story's, like, limited. This game is, like... You can go anywhere. Like, it just feels like... It almost feels like open world, but it's not at all. Like, there's obvious constraints. It just feels... It's just a cool area to hang... Like, a cool game to hang out with your friends in. There's, like, a huge map.
Wait, do you have friends you hang out with on there?
No. Oh, funny story. I was actually questing with random people in the server at the time, and they were helping me kill this boss. And Rachel walks in, and I'm, like, talking to someone who happened to be, like, a female character. She's like, what are you doing? Why are you talking? Are you getting married or something like that? No,
okay, keep in mind, we had this joke in our family because our parents really didn't monitor whatever we did on the internet, you know? So everything was very, I don't know, I guess we had a lot of freedom in some ways. Some ways we did, some ways we didn't. But anyway, so we used to joke around and tell our parents, like, Isaac or I'd be like, Derek has a girlfriend online, or he's getting married in this game, and just to see what our parents would do. Not really, like, these things weren't, not all the time. I had this fake boyfriend in RuneScape, we'll just say that. But for the most part, none of it was real. We were just saying it to get the other one in trouble, because our parents would be like, what? But even then, they still didn't monitor what we did.
But anyways,
I don't think they really knew how to, because they didn't know anything about the internet, because it was brand new. They still don't.
Someone actually did get married in the game, though, didn't they? Or something like that?
What?
Or no, you were playing with me on the same server for once. And someone... Okay, so you can do emotes in that game. And one of them is like a dance emote, but the way you do it, it's like... It looks very...
It looks like you're humping someone.
Looks like you're gyrating. So if you were to do it behind another character, it just looks like you're literally just... Yeah.
Going at it.
Yeah, so someone tried to do that behind Rachel's character. And I put in the chat, I was like, get away from my sister! Still to this day, one of the cringiest moments I've ever...
Okay, it's one of those games, though, where a lot of girls really don't play, so when other guys see girls in there, they're like, oh my god, there's a girl on here? So, I mean, if you're a girl and you need attention or want attention, get on AQ Dub. You'll find it.
It's also a weird game in the sense that, like, well, not weird, but, like, different from other games, where a lot of people, even though they're not female, will choose female characters. Like, I have a female character. I think it's more of like a role-playing thing. Like, I picture my own characters, like I'm playing my own characters that I've made up in my head or I've drawn before.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wait, can I share a story that's not related to this?
Yeah.
Okay, it's related to video games, but it's related to another game our other brother used to play called Ogre Island.
Oh my god.
So, of course, when we were younger, we used to, I guess we had two computers. One of them really sucked, and the other one was, like, the best computer. But we were always on the computer together. And if one of us wasn't on the computer, we were still in the room doing something, waiting for a computer to free up. But because of that, we always were interested in what each other was playing. So we would try to get involved into each other's games. And my brother played this game, I think it's still around, Ogre Island. And he was so into it, like, hardcore. And their player base was not very big at all at the time. I don't know if it ever got big. But there was a guy, he's, like, the owner or the, like, he created the game, Vagabond, whatever. And he had friends on there that played, too. And their name was Lady Cat and, like, Booger. I don't know how I remember this. But, so anyway, they were in the game all the time, and Derek would always be like, oh my gosh, like, there they are, they're in the game, like, freak out. And I remember one time, I made an account and I named it Anti-Lady Cat, because Derek used to complain about her all the time, because she was kind of like, I would say, a moderator. You know, she was friends with the creator, so she was always on there, kind of like telling people what to do and what they cannot do, and it was annoying, you know? So he'd be like, oh, she's so annoying. So I made an account called Anti-Lady Cat, and it's like 5 minutes into playing, I get pulled, like, summoned. It says, you've been summoned by Vagabond, which is a creator, right? And I'm in this room, empty room in the game with him there, and he's like, you need to delete this account now. And my brother Derek is there watching it. He's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you got summoned by Vagabond. Like, I don't even think he was upset. I think he was just, like, in awe that I was in the same room as the creator, and he was like, you need to delete this account right now or else you're gonna be banned forever, this and this. And I was like, okay. Whatever. I don't think I ever deleted it, but I never got back on because I was like, okay, this game's just too strict. Like, if you have time to sit there and summon people, okay, I ain't got time for this.
Keep in mind, this is probably at the peak of its player base.
Which was
there like 400 people?
Yeah, 400 people online.
Maybe like 5,000 people that have created an account and played once.
Yeah, it was not a very big game at all at the time. It was pretty, like, I could see why Derek liked it. It was kind of like RuneScape, if I had to compare it. The looks of it.
And it was more of a cartoony RuneScape.
And you did quests, and you went around, and you did, like, you got weapons, you worked, like, different skills up.
Talents, and you could, like, mine and stuff like that.
So it was a lot like RuneScape, and at that time, like, we'd all played RuneScape, and I really liked it. So I was like, well, I'll try this. But that was just, like, I'm like, okay, if you have all this time on your hands, I ain't got time for you. But I will never forget that moment.
Yeah. Another...
Puzzle Pirates?
That's what I was gonna bring up. Okay, we can't talk about Adventure Quest Worlds or Ogre Island without bringing
or
up...
Neopets.
Or Neopets without bringing up Puzzle Pirates.
Or Habbo Hotel.
Oh, okay, so...
We have so many stories when it comes to these.
Okay, so Puzzle Pirates. I remember seeing ads for this game. This is how I found most games. This is how I found Adventure Quest Worlds. And I feel like you guys found Habbo that way. There's just a bunch of ads on the internet at the time. And one of them I would see all the time would be Puzzle Pirates. And it's basically like your average puzzle game. But in this game, you can actually roam around a map in like a world. So it was kind of cool in that sense. Yeah, you needed to do puzzles to like level up and get new items. But our brother, again, Derek, was obsessed with this game. He would like go from game to game, and it wasn't just like, I'm gonna play this game for a few days or this one, or like
and he
even
wouldn't
hours.
play multiple games at a time. It was like one game, and everything he had went into that game.
Literally, it's
for
like
hours.
Half a year he'd be on this game, the other half of the year this game. Like
yeah.
It was like one or the other obsession.
Mm-hmm. He also has ADD, so that might help us figure out why he was so enthralled and obsessed with certain games.
But of course, with all the games that we're seeing each other play, we all feel like we're obligated to make an account and play with each other on them. Which brings us to Habbo Hotel. And I had a place called Ozzy's Playhouse, and that just does not sound good. I think I was like, how old at the time?
You were young. You were like 9, 8.
And you guys encouraged it. You were like, that's so funny.
Okay, hold
People
on.
would actually join
when
my
I
room.
No, they would. When I look back at Habbo Hotel, it was just a role-playing game for me. Like, I would create my character, and then they had, like, you could go and get a job somewhere in the game, and supposedly if you did well enough, they'd pay you in gold in the game, but that never happened. So you would literally go into these different rooms. People that play this know. You could go into different rooms, and I would literally just pretend like I'd always go and pretend I was a nurse or a doctor. And there was always people pretending like they were the kids of, like, some random 2 people, or people were the wedding chapel. People were always getting married or like working at restaurants.
There were like 10.
ASL, that was constantly what was going on. You know, like age, sex, live. Like, what's your age? Are you boy or girl? Where do you live? That was constantly, like, people were always trying to slide into your DMs, even though DMs weren't a thing then. They were always trying to get with you, and you were like 12, and you would lie and be like, oh, I'm 16 years old. You know, when you are not.
No wonder our generation's fucked right now.
I know. And Mom and Dad didn't even know.
The thing is,
we never gave personal information out. We never really did anything bad. But the things that were going on I would not allow Chloe to be exposed to that.
But I don't think they ever knew how to monitor, because like we said, they still don't even like know.
Yeah, well, Dad knows pretty well, but that's because he still works and is exposed to it every day. Mom has no idea. No idea how the internet really works. So and our mom was a stay-at-home mom, so anyone that was monitoring us mainly was our mom, and she had no idea. And for the most part, we were very taxing as children. Like, we were constantly complaining, telling on one another, fighting, arguing. So I think my mom was at a point where it was like, any break she could get, she'd take it. Like, so if we were on the computer quiet playing, she was like, I don't care how long you're on there, just do it. So like I said, we didn't really have any monitoring going on. I guess throughout our lives at random times our parents would, like, but even then we knew how to get around it, like the child protection safety, what is it, privacy controls,
that brings me to Club
parental
Penguin.
Controls.
So again, this story involved Derek. So I made a Club Penguin account. This was like a couple years before it was more recent than in our childhood, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, me and Derek were still teenagers, but I made an account just to see, like, if there's any new things on. And Derek got a hold of my email in my account, and he claimed that he was the parent of the account. And he made, I didn't know this, but you can literally put a time frame from when your child could play the game. So he put it
I didn't know this.
He put it at like 10:55 p.m. to 11 p.m. So I'm on.
So you can only play for 5 minutes?
A day, a night. So I'm literally on, and I get kicked off, and I'm like, what just happened? And Derek's like looking at me laughing, and I'm like, what did you do? And he shows me what he did, and I'm like, oh my.
Okay, hold on. This makes me think we
Rosa?
always mess with each other this way. Like, Derek was obsessed with Club Penguin at some point, too. Like, obsessed. And Coolio. There was this penguin that was really popular, I guess, named Coolio. And we were young, and Derek was obsessed with it. And Derek's 2 years younger than I am, and Isaac's 4 years. So we're all 2 years essentially apart. So me and Isaac are 4 years apart. But anyway, so Derek is still younger than me, a couple years. So he doesn't really understand. I feel like we were at the age where we were still really gullible. And I made an email specifically, made a new email pretending to be Coolio, this penguin from Club Penguin. And I sent him an email. And he was like, oh my gosh. He's like, you guys, Coolio just sent me an email. And I'm just like laughing hysterically. I did the same thing to Isaac and Neopets. I bought this gray paintbrush.
No, it was a stone.
A stone,
which
sorry.
you couldn't use at the time.
Yeah, I
so
got
it
him a
was
stone
worth
and made this like fake. So TNT is the name of Neopets people. The TNT team, I guess.
Yeah.
Or like the Neopets team is what it stands
like
for.
moderators or
TNT,
something.
yeah. So I created my own Neopets account, and then I sent this email to Isaac pretending to be like this official Neopets account and sent him the paintbrush. And you believed it for like probably 5 minutes, and then you were like, wait, something's just not right about this.
Yeah.
But we used to do stuff like that to each other all the time because it was just, we had that much time on our hands.
Okay, staying on Neopets, I had an obsession with Jub Jubs. I had a magma Jub Jub, an ice Jub Jub. I think I had like a...
Jub Jubs, by the way, for people that don't know, is a species of Neopet that you can have as a pet on Neopets. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like this little fur ball with feet and eyes. It's kind of weird looking, but...
Looks like a Furby a little bit.
Yeah, I had like really cool themes for them. Like, I was going to do like different elements. I think I even had like I think it was either woodland or something like that. And I'm about to get another one.
Kakina.
And Rachel literally reported me one too many times. And I tried to get on. It's like, sorry, your account is frozen. So
okay,
my account is still active, but I can't log in or do anything.
We have to give backstory. So we used to have these accounts that we'd make, and literally it was just kind of like a troll account that we would eventually actually use. So it wasn't a troll account anymore because we would use it for actual things on Neopets. But our profiles would be like, it's kind of like MySpace in the way that you decorate your page, I guess, on there.
It's like HTML coding.
Yeah, exactly. So you would do that kind of stuff to decorate your page. And we would put, like, your mom's hole. And you would click, like, hole, and it would take you to, like, this one scene on Neopets of this,
that
like, bird, like,
out.
pterodactyl, like, screaming, like, I don't even know.
Still to this day, it's scary.
But we used to do stuff like that, or we used to put like kind of like like my brother Derek had a shop and he put like really inappropriate things in it. Like the song in it was "I'm ringing sexy back," and we're like kids, yeah.
How did Neopets allow that?
We would do that to mess with people, but I would purposely, especially Isaac, report him, or he would send me, you know what it was, we'd send Neomails back and forth, and
with
he
like
would
vulgar
put
language.
with bad language, and obviously no one's gonna know unless you report them. So I would purposely, like, he'd be joking, be like, "Hey ho, what up?" And then I would purposely report him, hoping he would get banned, but it didn't really happen. And then this last time it did happen, and I did feel bad. I felt bad because I didn't think it was ever gonna happen.
It wasn't just a ban. It was a freeze. So
yeah, because you can get like 24-hour suspension kind of things. This is like your account's frozen. You can't use it.
It's still active.
It's still there, but
it's like the ultimate.
It's like in purgatory.
Taunt. Yeah, because it's like, oh, your account's still there. You can still search for it. You can still like grieve over it, but you can't ever use it.
Yeah.
It's just effed up.
Yeah, I still feel bad about that, but you know, it is what it is.
Also, we stole like 100,000 Neo points from Derek's account.
Oh yeah, he stopped playing Neopets and he had a bunch of Neo points in his account. He wasn't active anymore on his account, and we knew his password, and he had like over 100,000 Neo points. So we got on, and then we sold stuff in our shop for him to buy to transfer all of that money to us. He still gets pissed about it today, but he is not logged into his account since, so we don't really regret it.
Yeah. It's just so crazy to me, though, because Derek has turned from this ultimate, like, the most antisocial person I have ever met to, like, almost one of the most, like, not outgoing, but, like, he works for things, you know?
He's very, he doesn't care what people think, and he's very opinionated, and he's going to get what he wants. Whereas when you're more antisocial, you don't want any interaction, you don't want conflict.
Let people walk over you.
Exactly. But we talked about this before recently. He has ADD, so growing up he was on Adderall, which helped immensely, like it really did. But when he was a teenager, it wasn't so bad. And I feel like because he was on Adderall, it really makes you, he didn't eat, and it makes you really reclusive. And I think because of that, he wasn't allowed to really have the opportunity to be his real self until he got off of it when he was a teenager.
Adderall at a young age, when he was taking it, should not be prescribed. Like, honestly, it's just, over time, it just F's up your brain, like the chemicals in your brain.
Not only that, but unless you really know how to deal with it, especially at that age, he got so sickly skinny that my parents would have to shove protein shakes down his throat pretty much. Like, we'd have to force him to drink protein shakes just to keep weight on because he wouldn't eat when he was on Adderall. And when you're a kid, like, you're growing. That's like at your key growing points, and you're not even getting enough nutrients to grow because this medication won't allow you to.
But he's doing perfect now, like, honestly. Out of all of us, I feel like he's
not on it anymore, and life's better, but this is totally off topic. I don't know. Just keep in mind, there are other ways, although, here's the thing, this is where I get torn, because Adderall, for a kid, is, and our sister had ADHD, so it was even more intense, and she was on Ritalin. And both of those, like Adderall and Ritalin, are both very, they really mess you up, especially as a kid. But they work amazingly, because if you guys could see how they were chaotic, crazy, like psycho, to a point of like non-stop craziness.
Bouncing off the walls.
Literally bouncing off the walls. Like, this is not even made up. Bouncing off the walls in your face, making doing different voices, just obnoxious, can't sit still. And as soon as they take that pill, within a half hour, it was like they could actually focus and sit still. So it did help immensely for both of them in that way. But it also gave them so many negative side effects to where it's just like, I don't know. I wish there was some kind of alternative, and maybe there is, and I don't know about it, for kids in that situation, that something you could do to help that actually worked and didn't give them such negative side effects.
Well, I think if Derek had more not counseling, but like help with focusing, you know, he wouldn't really have to rely on medication.
But I think that's the thing with ADD and ADHD, is it's the way your brain's wired. Like, you literally can't.
Yeah, you just have to not cope with it, but you have to learn to, I guess it's harder to learn to focus.
Well, look at both of them.
Things.
They're both so smart, but look at how hard it was for them to focus in school, because their brain would not focus. They couldn't just shut it off to do what they needed to do.
And it's really interesting because, like, I never thought anything of it growing up.
Yeah, because you and I never have had that. Like, we've never dealt with that, so we didn't really understand. And then our two other siblings did. So it was just... And it's funny because they're a lot more alike in that way, and we're a lot more alike in our personalities, I guess.
But I feel like, socially, I don't know if it's, like, as... not accepted, but, like, I feel like people look at it as, like, a weird thing. But growing up with Derek and Heather, I never really saw it as anything other than just, like, that's part of their personality. You know what I mean?
Really? Do people look at it differently?
I don't know. There's always, like, jokes about it or something like that.
I never noticed. Maybe it's the same thing. It's because we grew up around people who were such, like, high-functioning people that we never... Here's the thing, though, is when there's a kid that's like that and they haven't been diagnosed with ADD or anything like that, I'm like, get that kid to a doctor. Because there are some things, when you're around it, you grow up around it. It's like our nephew is autistic. When you're around that stuff all the time, 24/7, you become very good at noticing certain characteristics and things that people do.
Definitely.
That you can spot it a mile away. And some people don't like to admit it. And there's nothing wrong. Like, that's the thing that bugs me about this so much, about autism, ADD, like, all these different things.
The whole spectrum
of any kind of, like, I guess, I don't want to say, like, mental disability, because it's really, I don't find it that way.
It's just
a difference, like, a difference in who you are. And it's just,
literally.
You know, but the thing that annoys me more than anything is people that look at autism or like look at ADHD or different things like that and are like, oh no, like don't want to admit that their kid could deal with that. And to me, I'm like, here's the thing is even if your kids do have it, there's nothing wrong with them. It's not bad. Like, it just makes them who they are. And you don't have to put your kids on medication. There are so many different things you can do to help them. But I hate the negative connotation with it, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe
it's just because we grew up around it and we learned how to, like, deal and manage people like that, but it's not as bad. I'll just say that. It's not as bad as people make it out to be.
Yeah.
Maybe for the people suffering for it. But.
Well, and there's also, like, a spectrum of all of the things we've talked about. So, you never know, but...
Yeah, true, because there are situations and cases that are a lot more intense than others, and that would be hard. Like, I can understand that. Like, some autistic people can't even really communicate. That would be really hard.
But then again, you can't judge a person by that because they literally can't help it. That's how they were born,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that they're not smart. It just means that they, like, just have trouble communicating.
If anything, they're smarter than normal
Yeah,
people.
that's for sure. Alex, freaking brainiac.
I actually had this girl in my class since first grade, and she was in my classes pretty much all throughout
school.
Like middle school, high school, and you wouldn't even know she was on the autistic spectrum. But in like first and second grade, she'd always have outbursts, and all the other kids didn't really know why. But come to high school, she's like this amazing artist. Like, she has her life together. She's like a businesswoman already, and it's because the teachers have taught her how to cope with it and turn it into,
which is so good. Look at Alex.
Something creative, or like making an outlet for her, if that makes sense.
Alex is the same way. He couldn't even really talk when he was like 4 or 5. He'd just be like, and we'd be like, what? And once he started getting help and taking classes, he still processes things differently and talks differently, but he's come so far to where now he's in a normal class. Like, he's integrated into a normal classroom and is no longer in like his special needs class. He still has the option to go there if he wants to, but like, he's in a normal class. And this is what I think is absolutely amazing. Heather had his conference, and the teacher said that the kids have taken him in as their own, and no one bullies him, no one makes fun of him, and they all help him, and they all love him. They all want to be his partner with stuff. And it just makes me so happy, because that's what we feared, is that he'd be bullied going into a normal class, or that he'd have issues. So the fact that his like classmates love him as much as they do is amazing, because he does think differently and he does talk differently than them, but he's still just as smart as them.
But one thing I will say about people on the autistic spectrum is they have really, like, in the beginning stages, I feel like they have really no choice but to be themselves. Whereas, like, someone like me growing up, like, from the beginning, I always had that, like, oh, people...
You know what's appropriate and not appropriate for certain situations.
Yeah, but Alex is able to, like, just be himself, you know?
Yeah,
and
that is true. Love him
for him, you know?
I think that is really cool with people who are autistic, is they can't help but be themselves. They don't deal with the same things we do. Like, they don't think the same way of, like, they don't care about what people think so much, you know? I'm not saying some of them do, but, like, Alex, he doesn't. He could care less. And so he's just able to be himself without caring about what people think. Like, when you watch him play on the playground and talk to other kids, they could say something to him and be like, and it's just because they're confused and they don't know why he's that way, but they could say something and he brushes it off and he doesn't care. And how, like, freeing is that? Because when you are, I guess, like, considered normal, you get so stuck in what society expects of you that you aren't always able to be yourself. So that's something really cool that you get to witness with kids who
are on the spectrum.
Yeah. Well, we kind of went all over the place,
Yeah.
and this is a really long episode, so I hope you guys enjoy what we had to say.
Yeah, it's turned in more of...
We didn't really stay on topic. We'll try that another episode.
It turned into more of like childhood memories again, I guess.
Yeah, those are the best, though. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen. If you guys have any comments or let us know what kind of games you played as a kid, or if you want to talk about anything we talked about today, please comment below. Reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, wherever. We love to hear from you guys.
Email us. nonessentialmedia@gmail.com.
Yeah, we're always here. Talk to you
Anyways,
guys later.
Bye.
Bye. Hey everyone, it's Rachel again from Nonessential Media. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. It was so much fun putting it together for you guys. As always, feel free to reach out to us on social media. You can find us on YouTube by searching Nonessential Media, on Twitter at NonessentialM, and on Facebook and Instagram by searching Nonessential Media. You can also find us on our website at nonessentialmedia.com, and on there we have some info about our creators and other podcasts like Beach City Crows, We the Fandom, and Zeros of the Tabletop. Thank you guys so much for listening. We love you.